Okay, it's 2 p.m. Shall we start? I think few more have not come in yet, but never mind. We will start. We will start slow. I'll start slow with a slow introduction, and then hopefully the rest can come in just in time before we touch on the real thing in AOM1. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to AOM1. Philip mentioned something. Nothing except change is constant. So change is constant. Okay, very good. So yes. So after we learn I Ching, we know that everything comes in the yin yang package. Okay, yin yang package. Now, so when there's something called change, there's also something called constant. Right, and then change and constant mean yin and yang actually are two sides of the same coin. So they mean constant and change. Basically, they are the same. Okay, so bear this in mind as we proceed into AOM1, and hopefully, 2 months later in AOM2, you understand better what do I mean by it. Nothing is constant except change, and then constant and change are actually two sides of the same coin. Okay, and this is what life is about. So, okay, so good afternoon. Let me go to my slides. Welcome to AOM1. Some admin first. There's actually 3 admin instructions before I can start. Number 1, all of you will be muted except me. So automatically muted lah. You don't need to find your mic button. You'll be muted automatically until you are invited up on stage. Then your mic will appear. Okay. Otherwise, you'll remain muted except me. So if you have questions, opinions, statements, whatever it is, all right, or comments, feel free to type in the chat box on the right of the screen of the platform. Everything just throw in there. Everything just throw in there. So if you have a question, I will address it. And perhaps sometimes I may hold your question to a later point in time and I bring it back to address it. So in case I forget, okay, in case I hold and I forget, please remind me again. Drop me a tinkle and remind me again. I'll pull back your question and address it. And last, the entire session will be recorded. So after this program is completed, we will process the video and then upload into the portal, and we'll keep you informed. So I know of some bugs in the training portal. I think most of you are seeing blank screen. The thing about this is this bug is very hard to catch. Some see blank screen, some are okay. For me, I'm okay. I can see it. So, but never mind. A bug is a bug. Okay, as long as your experience is not there, then it is a bug to me, right? So, I will see how it goes. Bear with me for now. If worst come to worst, I will have to go and migrate to another training portal. So bear with me. Keep giving me the feedback. Okay. So next, before I move on, I just want to ask you this. I'm showing you this slide, the faces of 4 gentlemen, and I want to ask you whether you know any one of them or you know all of them. Type in the chat box. Do you know Thomas Edison? Do you know James Dyson? Do you know Abraham Lincoln? Do you know Colonel Harlan Sanders? Do you know any one of them? If you know any one of them or all of them, are you able to pick up one common theme that cut across all 4 of them? If say she recognized Lincoln, she recognized Colonel, not Dyson and not Thomas Edison. You know, Thomas Edison invented light bulb. So without him, we wouldn't be having light at night. Darren say, I know all of them. Yes, the common theme, they all die liao. Yes, very good, thank you. I'm not, Dyson is still alive. Dyson is the one that produced the Dyson vacuum cleaner. Dyson is still alive. That's right, Philip. Dyson is still alive. So the death part is not the common theme yet. Helen said, never give up after numerous failure. Thank you, Helen. Yes, they are all, okay, in today's standard, by today's standard, they are considered successful people. Why? Because they have something to their name. Okay. For example, Thomas Edison, he's a very famous inventor. He invented light bulb. One of the most famous invention. James Dyson, the Dyson vacuum cleaner, and almost Dyson electric vehicle. Almost. Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves in America, okay, and become president himself, US. And then Colonel Sanders is the founder of KFC. Yeah, so they are considered successful people in their own rights. And one common theme that cut across all these four are what we call, from eating point of view, visible success, invisible failures. So we call them successful people because we only get to see their visible successes, but we don't get to see their invisible portion of it, the invisible failures and the invisible challenges and the invisibles falling down. Okay, so that's what Helen said. Never give up after numerous failure. The thing about them is that they are so persistent, so determined, that every time they fell down, they climb back up and become even stronger than before until they attain success. Okay, like for example, let me read it out from the slides here. Thomas Edison failed over 10,000 times trying to invent a commercially viable electric bulb. 10,000 times leh. You know, for us, if for example, let's say we do sales, we go and approach the first prospect, second prospect, third prospect, and all these three say no, we give up already. Because they say that this job very tough to do. We give up. But Thomas Edison failed over 10,000 times. Okay? If say 1,000 times give up now, some even lesser than 1,000 times cannot hit 10 times fail already. Okay, so next, Sir James Dyson went through 5126 times failed prototypes before creating the best-selling bedless vacuum cleaner. Okay, so that one I think is the flagship product of Dyson. Then Abraham Lincoln achieved the unique feat of leaving for a war a captain and returning a private. Can you imagine that? You go out war as a captain, but you come back demoted as a private. Okay, so much failure in his life, yet he can become the president of United States of America, right? Then Colonel Sanders rejected by 1009 restaurant before one agreed to take on his recipe idea. So subsequently become the KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. So all of the successful people you see, most of them will follow this kind of thread. I mean, they have visible failure people get to see, but there were a lot of invisible failure that nobody talk about and nobody care, you know. But these are the thread, right? So once we know this, then we know that hey, actually there is a constant law that run across all successful people, which is behind every success, I call it as yang, yang yin, yang yin, yang. So every behind every success, there are failures. Okay, there are failures. So success and failures, they are the two sides of the same coin, right? So if in case you are going after success and you can't take in failures or challenges, then you are missing out something. Okay, you're missing out something. Why? Because yin and yang come in a package deal. You can't have success without failures. If say people only notice when you are success, that's right, when you have succeeded. That's right, because people are only looking for visible success. And with the social media, it become even more like this. People only look out for your visible success, and we only post our visible successes. The invisible part one, okay, we hide behind. Okay, we hide behind. Yeah. So you find that in this AOM1 and subsequently AOM2, we'll be using a heavy dose of paradox. You all know what's paradox, right? Paradox means, it seems like there's a conflict of the yin and the yang. Okay, so like visible success, invisible failure, these are like two contradicting things. Yeah, but this is what life is about. So we'll be using a lot of paradox in this entire program, and basically what it means is yin and yang. Okay, and also notice that if you studied what the success people do, they tend to do certain things that comply back to what I Ching says about the way of living, okay, or the way of success, or anything lah, that with regard to how we live our life lah. So basically, in short, no matter where you are, what you are, who you are, and what type of time era you are in, we can always use I Ching to thrive even during difficult times. Okay, so if it's asking, Master, may I know what's the essence about AOM before you further the lesson? Now, AOM, the essence of AOM is to explore a deep exploration of I Ching and the hexagram. That means the essence of the hexagram and how we can use that to map out a life cycle of anything. If you have noticed, everything that occurs in our life is always a life cycle. If you talk about a product, there's a life cycle. You talk about our life, there's a life cycle. You talk about your career, there's a life cycle. You talk about your children, there's a life cycle to their life also. Everything is about a life cycle. In case you have not noticed, even like your relationship, like your car that you own, like the house that you own, they all have a life cycle. And this life cycle go through changes. Okay, and these life cycles go through changes. And is there a way that we know how these changes going to take place? That means the development of the changes. If this is the question you're asking, then the answer is yes. There is a way to map out how the changes may develop over time, because behind every changes there is a constant principle running behind the scene. All we need to do after you have learned AOM is to be able to look beyond the changes, look behind the scene, look at the constant principles that's running behind. And once you know that, you're able to map out what's the next step. Okay, so that's why I call this program as the art of maneuvering. Because if you're able to map out the development, you're going to be able to map out your next best move. Okay, your next best move. Is that okay with you, Eve, and everyone else? I hope you can understand what's the essence of this AOM. Why am I bringing up this program here? And what do I hope to achieve out of this AOM series? Now, if say true love will not change if relationship also got cycle. Now, true love will also change in terms of the quality, right? That is why we have a hexagram called 横卦. And this 横卦 is to manage true love. Okay, and then this 横卦is just part of the 64 hexagram, which is just part of the entire life cycle. So if you want to maintain true love, you must know how to maintain true love, because true love also have to go through phases. You get my point, If? Okay, so back to this slide. No matter what era, what time, what situation, whatever it is, we can always use I Ching to thrive, even during difficult times. So that is why I call it as the AOM, art of maneuvering, so that we know how to make our next best move, maneuver. So when I started out, it took me about 3 or 4 years to create this art of maneuvering trilogy series. Okay, trilogy because it comes in 3 parts. AOM1, which we are in here now, right now for AOM1. AOM2 is a continuation of AOM1. That means we complete the rest of the 64 hexagram in AOM2. AOM1, we only covered 12 hexagram. Now in AOM3 is where we're going to use this to apply in real life. I'm not saying AOM1 and 2 you can apply in real life, but in AOM3, it is something more meta. Meta means a level up. Okay, level up meaning we can use hexagram to convert it into stratagems to make your best maneuver. So in AOM3, we are going to cover a lot of stratagems deriving from the hexagram that you can have. Okay, so but this year, I'm holding back AOM3 because my schedule is quite tight for this year. So I'm holding back AOM3. And but for those who want to continue with AOM3, the recorded video is available. So you can sign up for the recorded video and then come back for the live class next year. You say, Master, life cycle cannot avoid in life like nature. Yes, life cycle in short, metaphysics terms is called 5 element. Okay, I repeat that again. Life cycle in short, in metaphysics term, is called 5 element. And when we are in this yin-yang world, we are trapped in this 5 element cycle. Okay, so-called the life cycle. until we can attain so-called in some religion nirvana. That's where we can escape out of this 5 element cycle. Otherwise, we will be trapped inside this 5 element. That's why metaphysics is all about yin yang and 5 element, because we're just part of it. Is that okay? If okay, can. So have I completed this slides here? Yeah. So this AOM trilogy basically in whole is to help you see your life and circumstances in a very powerful yin yang way. You'll be surprised so much that you have not seen before or heard before about I Ching and your life. Okay, and understand the universal principles that run behind the scene, so that you can strategically plan your next best move. If it's asking, so if a people attain enlightenment, will be no more 5 element? Yeah. Okay lah. I don't want to go into the religious part because different religion has different understanding. All right, different. So I don't want to go into that sensitive portion there. But according to some religion, if you are able to escape out from the 5 element, you are basically nothingness. Okay, nothingness, nothingness. And therefore, if it's nothingness, then you go back to the frequency band from where you came from. Or you may have elevated your frequency band, you just go back to the elevated frequency band and stay there and mingle around with those other energies that has a similar frequency band as you. So when you're in that band, you don't have the 5 element because you're pure energy. Okay, that's why 天干地支, 天干 is so pure. Okay, so pure. There's no 地支 fighting one, but 地支 is so messy. Okay, let me move on. So in AOM program, AOM1 program, I break it up into 3 major parts, which I will cover part 1 in today, part 2 tomorrow, and part 3 next Saturday. Okay, so 3 parts. So part 1, I call it as the untold framework of the universe. That means we're going to study what is this universe about and what is this framework that the universe is operating within. Okay, tomorrow we talk about the 6th dragon, very important 6th dragon, because everything starts from these 6 dragons. And third, okay, next Saturday, the last part of the program will be how to stay successful after becoming successful. Now, if you have completed AOM1, you should have already understood that in a life cycle, all right, this life cycle is not only one. Let me pull out a white screen now. This is timeline. Okay, timeline. Timeline. Oops. And a life cycle is always like that, up and down, 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 up and down. So the up and down, I can call it this as a one cycle. Okay, one cycle number 1, and then cycle number 2, maybe somewhere here, maybe number 3, somewhere here. And then how many cycle you have depend on your lifespan and what you do. Okay, and what you do. So therefore, AOM helps us to understand at least cycle number 1. From the day you born, from the day that you do thing, and the day that you hit the first success. Okay, and how to attain this success so that you won't drop down, right? And then feel that you got, your luck run out or something like that. Okay, how to sustain this one? That's what we'll cover in AOM2 and beyond. All right. So if you're saying, Ayo, so few people can attain enlightenment, can we qua a person who is enlightened? No need to qua who is enlightened. Look at the way he talk, look at the way he thinks, look at the way he act and behave. You know whether he's enlightened or not. Right? So basically, this AOM or I Ching, right? Basically, what you have learned, what you're going to learn here is that what the empower will do that others don't. Ultimately, this is what we want to achieve. Okay, so once again, welcome. I hope everyone supposed to come in have come in ready. Once again, welcome back to this AOM1. That's a short introduction of myself in case for some of you first time seeing me. I don't think so, but anyway, just let me do a quick intro of myself. My name is Kun Leong, Yo Kun Leong. I'm a life coach, eating trainer, and author of several ebooks. Now, for the past 10 years, I've been helping people achieve positive and transformative and lasting change through the power of life coaching. Now, during this life coaching, I use the major tools that I use is actually eating related tools, right? It can be feng shui prediction, life frequency analysis, and AOM, whatever things that is eating related, I can use it. So next time you can also use it after you have learned it. So my personal mission, very simple, is to make a positive and transformative difference in people's life, and also making eating easy and practical. That's why I come out with books, with workshops, with program like this to break down the difficult, so-called difficult eating into layman definition, layman understanding, so that everybody can understand very easily and start using it in their life. Okay, so this is about me. If it's asking when is AOM2, May, June, July, in July. If so, disclaimer: every one of you looking at the same me, hearing from the same me, having the same workbook, looking at the same slides. Okay, but at the end of this program, your learning level will differ from person to person, basically because of the differences of the individuals. Number one, your level of understanding of the various fundamental concepts and techniques that I'm going to mention. Number two, your circle of competence in that subject matter. Now, when I say subject matter, means if you don't know about life and if you are too young to know about life or gone through life, then there's certain things that when I say and share, you may not relate it very well. But if you've gone through what I'm going to relate, you'll find that, oh yeah, this happened to me. Oh yeah, no wonder I felt that way. Oh yeah, that's why these things happen. You can relate easier and faster if you have gone through that. Yeah. So your circle of competence in the subject matter matters. Third, the time you devote to the training and practices. So because of all this, your learning level will be different from person to person. You say, but July thing I register for something, I can't see my dashboard. Master, can you advise? Think I yet to register for AOM2. Let me check later during the break time whether you have already registered for AOM2. I think you might have. Now, two rules. Every time I start a class, I have two rules. So I'm going to share with you these two rules. Number one, don't believe a thing I say. Now, this is very important, especially if you are learning AOM. Because whatever I'm going to tell you or share with you are my experiences and experiences of my clients and students. They are not yet your experiences. Okay, so what I want you to do is to listen to me and you go and feel it for yourself, experience it for yourself, and then, verify it for yourself. And once you are able to verify for yourself, that become your experiences. Okay, that's number one, rule number one. And number two, I know everyone comes into this class with your own set of belief systems, your opinions, and your thinking, the way of thinking, religion, belief, and all these things. So what I would urge all of you to do is that eating is actually all about nature, how nature works, and how we as humans should behave in relation to the universe. So learn with a growth mindset. Certain things that I say may not make sense to you now, okay, but subsequently you just listen in, and subsequently, who knows, certain things may happen and you find that, oh yeah, I mentioned this before, no wonder, things like that. Okay, so there's only two rules. Number one, don't believe a thing I say. Number two, learn with a growth mindset. Now, are you all ready to get started? Type yes in the chat box if you are.